What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the BallGame podcast. I am the innocent bystander, Matt Sullivan.
I'm Dean.
I'm Chris.
Obviously, as you can see, we have a very special guest, and we are very happy to have him here. But I will allow him to introduce himself. Wow, I'm off my game today already. But Joel, please, I just introduced him to. This is crazy. Go ahead.
Mad good intro, bro. That was sick.
Go ahead and take over for me on that one. There you go.
Nah, listen, man. Thank you guys for having me on. You guys are having a really cool episode today. Just giving hot takes, and I feel like that's my specialty. I got a couple here. I got 5 for sure that are spicy. Then I got some others, some fantasy related, some not. But thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on, bro. We really do appreciate it.
We've been watching you guys forever.
Yeah.
Since I don't know, few years at least. You guys have definitely been a podcast that inspired us to do this. We saw you guys doing it. We were like, yo, we're kind of like them. We could just do that ourselves. Obviously, y'all are the best. We've had a few
They're the
guys
goats.
on.
Nah, they are.
We've had a few guys on already, but
they are. No,
definitely
honestly,
been excited for
what you guys have done, you've kind of set the template for us, and we've been trying to follow that to some extent. And man, like, you guys have really been doing it to the top of the line to this point, and we do appreciate you for coming on. So you guys are a big inspiration for us. So it means a lot.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about inspiring other people to create, because everybody could get into this space and everybody could do it, but just got to be dedicated and consistent. And listen, your setup looks similar. You got the mics, you got the vertical table. I like the background. You guys even got the banner with the faces on. We don't even got that.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it took a lot of testing,
trial and error.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error for us to kind of figure out what ended up working for us in terms of a setup and stuff. And I mean, I'm sure things are still gonna change. This isn't the final thing, and from a year from now,
it shouldn't be the final thing. We're always looking to
we're always looking to just get better and better. So thank you, man. Appreciate it once again. But you introduced the episode for me, and I appreciate that because I was not on my thing 5 minutes ago. So I will say it now. Yes, today is a hot take video for the NFL season. And we did ask the perfect guy to come on with us, as Joel is the guy on Pick a Side that comes with all the heat. Every episode, all the heat. So we appreciate him for joining us now. And then obviously we're going to give you guys some hot takes too for this season. And honestly, super excited for the NFL season. Think it's going to be one of the best seasons in a very long time. And consistently, I feel like the NFL is just getting better and better and better. And it's just super entertaining. So I'm just very excited for that. But Chris, I believe you have something.
Before we get into that, we're super excited to announce our new partner for this coming NFL season, Thrive Fantasy. If you guys don't know about Thrive Fantasy, you're going to find out, because we're going to be using them all NFL season. It's a daily fantasy sports game. It has the pick'ems like some of the apps you're accustomed to. Simple concept. There's a player prop, and you go over and under. But the thing that I personally like about Thrive Fantasy is they have the daily fantasy sports contest where you build a lineup, but the score isn't based on fantasy points. It's still based on the player props over unders. So certain lines get a certain amount of points, and obviously you're in a contest with however many people. Whoever scores the most points wins. Obviously, you have to get the line correct over or under, but I'm going to show you guys real quick. We're going to build a quick lineup real quick. So they have their contest up for week 1 of the NFL. There's this one right here, $25 entry. It's $20,000 to first place. So we're going to enter that contest real quick. And as you can see, here are all the lines. Simple stuff. Joe Burrow's passing yards are at 275.5. If you want to take the more, that'll give you 95 points. If you want to take the less, 105 points. Pretty simple. So real quick, Joe Burrow, week 1 at Cleveland, 275 yards, over under.
Man, the calf strain, bro.
I'm taking the under.
I'm taking the under.
Taking the under. Nice. Derrick Henry, 92.5 total rushing yards, week 1 at New Orleans. The over gives us 110 points. The under gives us 90 points.
Henry makes a statement week 1.
I like that.
He's the damn king.
I was going to go.
And he's still him.
Nah, he's the king.
2 against 1, I guess.
Then arguably the best receiver in football right now, Justin Jefferson, week 1 in Minnesota at home versus the Buccaneers, 95.5 total receiving yards.
I'm taking the over against Tampa.
I'm taking the over.
Take the over.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard to take the under on Jefferson.
So in this specific contest, you pick 10 different lines. So we have a little ways to go real quick. Odell Beckham, week 1 versus the Houston Texans. 5.5 receptions. I like the under
Ooh,
here.
I'm taking the under here.
Under, yeah.
I'm smashing it because it's
Zay Flowers.
season.
It's Zay Flowers season.
Exactly. Trevor Lawrence against the Indianapolis Colts. His line's at 23.5 total completions.
Under, they're gonna blow them out and start running the ball by the second half.
Over.
I'm gonna go with the under there. I'm gonna ride with you in there with the under. Next up, we got Bryce Young versus the Atlanta Falcons in Week 1. 1.5 total passing touchdowns.
You know what? I think he's very good in
Over.
Week 1. I think Bryce is going to show out in Week 1. I do.
More.
Take the over there.
I think he's the most pro-ready quarterback.
They have a Kyler Murray line there, but we're gonna
That's
stay
interesting.
away
Yeah,
from
that's a
that.
little rough.
'cause
Definitely less. Than
I think I'm taking the under.
Playing.
I think I'm taking the under.
DeAndre Hopkins, they have him at half a receiving touchdown. Week 1, they play New Orleans. I like that.
Yeah,
I like the over.
I'll take
I
it.
think Hopkins.
They're going to definitely look to get him heavily involved in his first few weeks in Tennessee, I think. So
Next up, Lamar Jackson, 273.5 total passing and rushing yards.
I'm taking over. I'm taking
me
more.
too. Me too.
Let's ride. CMC, 107.5 total rushing and receiving yards.
Over.
Versus Pittsburgh.
Ooh. You know, surprisingly, I think that's a trap game in Week 1. I think they
Less.
lose.
I'm going less.
I'm cool with the under there.
Okay.
cool with
All
the
right.
under
That's
there.
fair.
All right, last pick. We could take one of the two of these. We could pick Cooper Kupp, 80.5 receiving yards versus Seattle. We could take over under that, or we could do Devontae Adams versus Denver, 8.5 total receptions.
I'm taking
Give
the
me
Cup
Cooper
line,
Kupp
and
more.
I'm taking over.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or
Can't go wrong with Kupp.
Devontae under because Pat Surtain will be on him all
I'm
game.
cool with the Kupp over.
Okay.
So
Cool.
there's our pick. As you guys see on the bottom of the screen there, the maximum points we could get is 1,025. So that's our Week 1 entry. Unable to determine location, it says. You guys get the gist. That's our Week 1 entry.
Nice. That was fun.
Yeah,
Right.
it's entertaining.
And then, like I said, they also have the normal pick 'em slip. So, you pick 3, 4, 5, however many over-unders you want to do, more or less, I should say.
Cool.
And then you get a multiplier the more you do. So we're going to be using that for our contest amongst ourselves.
Perfect.
You guys know how that works.
Yeah.
The loser gets a spin on the old punishment wheel.
Which you
Yes.
Still got to do.
Yeah.
I got to.
Yeah, you and Ortiz still
I
have
gotta sit
punishments
for
yet
24 hours in a
yet to be
Waffle House.
done.
So the thing, though, is Thrive Fantasy partnering up with us. If you guys use the code BallGamePod in all caps, again, that's BallGamePod, on your first deposit, they match what you put in. So you put in $25, they give you $25. You put in $250, they give you $250.
It's free.
Free money.
It's free extra money.
It's free money.
It's like you're
So-
depositing double. So just make sure you go do that.
Yep.
So,
All right. So again, huge shout out to Thrive Fantasy. Now let's get into these hot takes.
okay, so
right,
I'm
great.
thinking maybe we give a little structure to this. I think we start off with our least spicy takes, like something we think is the most likely to occur, and then we go down the line and pick from there.
Okay.
So
Definitely fair.
We'll start with the that has a little kick, and we'll ramp it up to the get me the milk.
Right.
yeah, exactly. All right, and why not let our guest kick us off with his first hot take?
Well, that's easy. This first hot take is it might not even be classified as a hot take because it's 100% going to happen. And that's, I don't know when it's going to happen, but Devontae Adams is getting traded to the New York Jets. And I think it's happening mid-season. When the Raiders start out 1-6 or 1-7, when they have a horrible record, because everybody's thinking that the Raiders are going to be somewhat competitive, but their defense is still bottom of the barrel, and Jimmy Garoppolo is a downgrade from Derek Carr. I think Devontae Adams is asking out, and the Jets are going to be in prime position to trade for him, and he's going to be on the Jets.
So let me ask you this. If the Jets do go ahead and make a trade for Devontae Adams midseason, what does the trade look like, in your opinion?
I think a second-round pick.
Okay.
I don't think we have to trade a first-round pick. I think a second-round pick and maybe another adding on a fourth or fifth-round pick would do for Devontae Adams.
I agree.
I think under no circumstance you give him a first-round pick for Devontae. I think you live with what the team you have before doing that, before giving up a first.
I'm sure you guys all saw the rumors too. David Bakhtiari potentially being traded to the Jets too. How Rodgers and him are flirting with each other a little bit.
I think the Jets are going to try to at least start the season with the guys they have. I think the problem is is better than people think it is. I know the Hard Knocks episode came out and everybody freaked out. Everybody saw Rob Saleh yelling at the team. It was
the offensive line
specifically. It was honestly a
specifically.
great speech. Nah, he called them out when they needed to be called out.
Yes.
They were not playing good. But you still have injuries. You still have Mekhi Becton, who hasn't played in years. You still have Dwayne Brown, who has not played in training camp yet. You know what I mean? So there's still guys that you're missing.
Yeah, but that's part of the issue.
That is the issue.
That's part of the issue.
I understand, but let's say you go into the season fully healthy, which is a big what if. I understand. I know for the Jets, it's a huge, giant what if. I'm not the most concerned. Yeah, I think you could trade for Bakhtiari at some point in the season if it continues to be a problem.
Okay. All right. And what do you think the Bakhtiari trade would cost? Like, would you do both? Can you even do both? Is that even possible?
I don't think it would.
I think the Packers could try to squeeze for as much as possible in this case. I really do. They don't have to trade him. And then they obviously have all the leverage in this situation if Rodgers is really pushing for it. So I don't know. What do you guys think it would cost?
And you give up a first for Bakhtiari.
Yep.
I think you give up a first.
100% agree.
And right now, our tackle spot is Billy Turner and Max Mitchell. It's not ideal. And the first 6 weeks, we face elite level pass rushes. So just given the scarcity of the position, given that it's not good, I think you have to trade a first round pick for Bakhtiari.
I agree. And you guys would both do it as Jet fans?
Unfortunately, it's just the reality of the situation. I mean, you're going for like this is a team that you really go all in for. You know what I mean?
You have to.
This is what it is. This is
like
the team.
2-year window.
Right
now.
This is it. This is all you get. So, go for it.
Unless Zach is the guy after Aaron retires.
As much faith as I have, I'm not all in on anything Zach Wilson ever.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, Dean, go ahead. Hit us with the second.
I guess it's not so spicy. So the Patriots finished last with the worst season with Bill Belichick in his career with the Patriots.
So
last in the division, or
last in the division, and his worst season with the Patriots.
Okay, so
ever.
His worst season with the Pats was what, 6-10? I think.
Yeah,
I think he went 6-10 a couple years ago. So you're thinking 5 or less.
This is the first time in a long time they are the clear losers in the division. They're clearly the worst team. I think they clearly have the worst quarterback. Their defense is good, but I think in a division where the other defenses are also stacked, I don't think that necessarily helps you as much as you think it does. They still don't have any weapons. I mean, yeah, they have Ramondre Stevenson.
Put some respect on Mike Gesicki's name.
I'm never
who just dislocated his shoulder.
Gesicki's a Jersey guy, by the way. But
he is.
Yeah, no, they got Juju. That's about it.
Yeah,
I'm not comfortable with that at all. I think they're going to lose a whole lot of games. Yeah,
and they just signed Zeke. Zeke.
Does nothing for me. Does absolutely nothing.
Regardless, I think that few of wins is kind of crazy, given the fact that they won 8 games last year and they still added talent to their offense while actually getting someone who is going to put an offensive system together.
I think
last season it was Matt Patricia.
The rest of the division got better,
I guess, but that's only 6 games a season. And as I said, divisional games are always heated and close.
So the AFC East also, on top of that, has some of the tougher schedules in the NFL.
They do.
I think that has a lot to do with it too. I don't think it's so cut and dry as they got a little bit better, so they're gonna win as many games as last year. That's not really the case.
Fair, I guess. Chris, you want to go ahead? Next one.
Yeah, I don't know how hot this one is. That's why I'm saying it first. I mean, it's something I've said. I was telling Dean in the car. I've said this probably 10 times on this podcast already, but Bijan Robinson as a rookie is going to lead the NFL in rushing yards. The Falcons, this is all part of the one take. Falcons are winning the division, and not just that, they are winning a playoff game on the back of Bijan Robinson.
Okay. I was thinking of putting them winning a playoff game as one of my hot takes too. And I thought, is it that spice? Is it even a hot take? But yeah, it is. I do agree.
I think them winning the division isn't as hot of a take anymore. People have started to come around to that one. But I think where I say they win a playoff game, I think that's where it gains its spice level. It's like the second bite. That's when you start to taste it.
Got you. And then Bijan, obviously, we're massive fans of Bijan. So, yeah, lead the league in rushing is just, I honestly see it.
I know, Joel, I know you came around to the Falcons recently. So,
yeah, I love the Falcons, but I'm still torn. We're going to do a final predictions episode. I'm going to watch some more film on the Falcons and Saints and make my prediction. I don't know, man. First preseason drive for the Saints.
Yeah.
Derek Carr looked good. The defense, is at least going to be solid. Yeah, I like Atlanta, but a lot of their wins are going to hinge on Desmond Ridder. Even though I think he's a better quarterback than Mariota, and Mariota showed that last game with the Eagles that he's like really horribly bad.
Yep.
For me, the Falcons, it just comes down to Desmond Ridder and if that defense will be a little bit more viable than I think it's going to be. But the Saints are just right there. But I have the Falcons winning division as of now. One of my hot takes to counter your hot take with Bijan is that I think the Bijan hype is a little bit too over the top. I think that Bijan, he's getting taken in the first round of fantasy drafts. I think Dynasty, it makes sense. But from just like this year's standpoint, I think the Atlanta Falcons have so many options at running back with Bijan, Al-Jair, Cordell Patterson. And I understand you give Bijan those reps over those guys, but there's going to be situations where those other guys are still utilized and it might take away from Bijan. And I don't know if he's going to be this workhorse that everybody thinks he's going to be.
I think those other guys are definitely going to be involved because they're too talented, both of them, Patterson and Algier. They're too talented to not be involved to some extent, but the volume of rushing attempts and just overall work that the running back room in Atlanta is going to see this season, like if Bijan's getting the majority of that, whether he's sharing the backfield at times with the other guys, he's going to still put up great numbers. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you look at the head coach and the person that's going to be calling plays, it was Arthur Smith. So, I mean, Arthur Smith back in Tennessee, back when he had Derrick Henry, did choose his bell cow, but we know obviously Derrick Henry is his own entity. Derrick Henry is his own entity. Nobody else is handling nearly 400 carries in a season, but I think Bijan can absolutely get 280 carries and then another 50, 60 receptions and being heavily involved. And I think the efficiency will be there with probably the best run blocking offensive line in the entire NFL. I still think Algier will get 100 to 150 carries too. I just think there's going to be so much opportunity in the run game because Arthur Smith will try to protect Desmond Ridder as much as possible.
And Bijan's such a dynamic player, and also Cordero is too, where these guys could all be on the field at the same time, especially considering the Falcons' lack of a true number 2 wide receiver. Obviously, ideally, you want Bijan in the backfield getting the handoffs, but he's more than capable of lining up in the slot from time to time when you have Algier back there. So I think they're all going to be used in different ways all over the field at the same time. So I don't know. I just believe in the talent for Bijan.
And then Patterson obviously was a receiver. So
yeah, they have a lot of versatility because even with lacking a number 2 wide receiver, like on a depth chart, Drake London, we know, is their best receiver, but Kyle Pitts can line up out there.
There you go.
And then you can line up Jonnu Smith on the line of scrimmage. So they just have so much versatility to the point that players can play different positions. Like you said, Bijan could be in the slot. Cordero can line up out there. You can have them run option routes. The only one that's really not versatile is Al-Jair. And, but what if he steals those goal line carries from a guy like Bijan? That's a concern for me. So that's why I think the Bijan hype, listen, I understand it. I do. But, given how Arthur Smith uses his offense, I'm kind of skeptical on the fantasy production of it.
That's fair.
That's fair.
The only thing I'll say about Chris's point in favor of Chris is the pick they use on Bijan was way too high for them to not use him the way that Chris is saying they're going to use him. That's the only thing I'll say. I agree with both of your points. I can definitely see from both sides. But to favor that, the draft pick is way too high to not use him.
Yeah, you can't draft a back 8th overall and then decide not to use him as much as your bell cow.
That might not be fair to whoever else is on the team.
Tyler Algier was great
the draft
last
capital
season.
They use, like, that's your guy,
Tyler, when they drafted Bijan, I was so shocked because Tyler Algier was really, really good last season. Like, they're taking nothing away. And then obviously they still had Patterson, but
they decided
he's on his own level.
They decided to build on their best.
They doubled down.
Their best offensive quality, right? So, I mean, they decided to be the best at what they're the best at already.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so my first hot take. I don't think this one's that spicy, but I have Sam Darnold finishing as the 49ers quarterback this season and being in the NFC Championship. I think he loses in the NFC Championship, but I think he makes the NFC Championship with the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think Purdy's the starter for very long.
Man.
Oddly enough.
So why do you say that? I ask, and I ask because you're one of the guys you've propped up Brock Purdy.
I love
you
Brock
talk
Purdy.
so highly of him. So he's gonna lose the job to Sam Darnold, who has shown what half an impressive season in the NFL that last year with the Panthers.
So all right, it's tough because I love Brock Purdy. I've literally been talking Brock Purdy up. I know that, and I was looking at it, and I've seen how all the reports, and I guess I'm falling for reports in training camp. I guess I'm falling for the one gorgeous throw that Sam Darnold made down the right sideline, and I was like, oh my God, Sam Darnold is like good at football now. And they have Kyle Shanahan. And if I could trust anyone to make a quarterback look good, it is Kyle Shanahan. Like, this man has made Nick Mullins look good in spurts. And I'm thinking the talent of Sam Darnold, the injury of Brock Purdy, it's lining up. Like, it's just lining up.
So that was my next point. So I don't really mind you saying that you think Sam Darnold in a Kyle Shanahan offense could do well. I don't doubt that. But you're saying, so how is Brock Purdy going to lose his job? Because I think his job's secure. I think he played well enough last year that he earned that job.
No, true.
He earned the job. And again, like you're saying, in a Kyle Shanahan offense, Brock Purdy's good enough to produce wins.
You don't have to ask much.
Right, yeah, that's
you don't
my
have to
point.
ask
Like,
much.
is he going to be bad enough to where they say we must go to Sam Darnold now?
I don't see that being a thought. I think they go to Trey Lance before going to Sam Darnold.
Whoa,
to be completely honest.
No.
It seems like you think injury is gonna be the reason why Darnold starts.
Unfortunately, think part of it is going to be fatigue due to Brock Purdy's, off-season surgery for his Tommy. What was it, Tommy John or torn UCL? Right?
Yeah.
He had his torn UCL, and I think that's gonna have some sort. And I don't want to predict that at all, but I just also see how glowingly Kyle Shanahan has been speaking on Sam Darnold as well, and how Sam Darnold has played in both camp and in the first preseason game. So I don't know. I like we've always said, the talent with Sam Darnold has always been there. That's never been the question. But is this now the opportunity for him to show out?
No, bro. On a personal level, I hope it happens. As a Jet fan, I could not be more happy for that man if he was able to earn a starting job on a good football team. Believe me, I've been wanting to say for so long that Sam Darnold's a good quarterback, and I just have never been able to say it.
Yeah.
So I want that to happen. I just unless the injury is so detrimental to Brock Purdy, I do not see him losing that job this season.
That's fair. No, I get that. And I love Brock, and I don't want that to happen. I mean, look, if you're Mr. Irrelevant and you're a very good quarterback in the NFL, it's pretty fucking impressive. And I'm rooting for you. But I don't know. Sam Darnold's talent, 3rd overall pick, and Kyle Shanahan already loving him. So
no, I love him. I love him.
It's so funny that you do feel that way about him, given
Why
that,
would I not, dude? Why would I not? Dude, okay. He was not good, but also those Jets teams were so bad.
They were
so bad. He almost wasn't really even a fair chance. He was playing with a fucking Adam Gase, dog.
Yeah.
I feel bad, actually. Like, from person to person, like, I would tell him, sorry, bro, my bad.
He kind of got the Daniel Jones treatment for a few years.
Pretty terrible.
So
he didn't play good anyway, but still.
And there were moments when, I remember Jets versus Giants when we had Sam, he looked better than Daniel Jones. He played better than him, had a better game. Listen, Sam Darnold, I think he's solid. I think he's backup solid. With Kyle Shanahan, though, he makes backup solid quarterbacks look like great quarterbacks within the system. I don't like Brock Purdy that much. I think he's really overrated, but the truth will reveal itself eventually with him. That's what I think.
I think that's fair.
Okay. Wow. All right, Joel, you want to give us? You gave us 2, right? You did piggyback off of Chris's Bijan take, right?
Yeah, that was one. I think this is a little bit spicy given the narrative around this quarterback right now. I think Lamar Jackson is finishing top 5 in passing yards this season. This is somebody who hasn't even cracked 4,000 yards passing yet. But with Todd Monken in Baltimore now, in the 3 years he was an OC for Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston averaged about 270 passing yards per game. This is going to be a spread out system. It's going to give Lamar a lot of options at the line of scrimmage. So when I see him having Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman as a deep threat, I think Lamar Jackson is going to have his best passing season, and he's going to shut up a lot of people that doubt his ability to pass outside the numbers, to pass accurately. And I think he's going to go over 4,000 yards passing and probably dial up his rushing down a bit. But I think he's going to have by far the best passing season he's ever had.
I completely
agree.
Completely agree.
I mean, I'm pretty much like
I'm
all in on the Zay Flowers bandwagon. And the only way that happens is if Lamar performs.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on that idea.
I also love the fact that he actually does have weapons now. Like we're giving him a shot. Hopefully Rashad Bateman stays healthy. He hasn't proven that he can at any point, but he's a good receiver when he is healthy, and Lamar trusts him. Mark Andrews, obviously, arguably the second best tight end in the NFL. Probably not even arguable, but I'll give it a try at some point today. But anyways, you give him so many weapons now, and it's perfect. Like, it's finally the opportunity for Lamar to show that he's so much better of a thrower than people are ready to give him credit for. And I think that's going to be awesome this season. And I think the Ravens, this is their best chance since he's been there for them to win the Super Bowl, in my personal opinion. So, but yeah, go ahead, Dean. What you got?
All right. So I should have jumped in when we were talking about the Falcons. I'm going to go back to the Falcons. I'm going to go back to Desmond Ridder.
Nice.
So I'm going to say Desmond Ridder doesn't end the season with the Falcons as their starting quarterback.
Taylor
Heineke. And Taylor Heineke steps in and starts a couple games. But it gets even crazier.
Fuck.
It gets even crazier.
Not again.
Watch this. So the 49ers end up trading Trey Lance. To who?
Who?
The Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, my God.
Trey Lance ends up playing a game for the Atlanta Falcons this year.
Sing you a game, and then they realize how bad he is.
Yeah, that's kind of what the idea is going to be.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my hot take. The second one's a little bit of a whatever, but the first one, Desmond Ridder's not going to end the season as a starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. I think you're going to have to throw the football at some point. You're going to have to actually take chances. You're going to have to take shots on the field to be a successful team. You're going to have, if that's where you want to go with the team. He's not the answer in Atlanta.
So you think Taylor Heineke is better?
Taylor Heineke is not the answer either, but I don't see a world where Desmond Ridder is the starting quarterback with the competitive Atlanta Falcons team. I think that they need to go into the offseason and find somebody. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but that's just my hot take. I don't see it happening with Desmond.
I think they're the perfect team that this offseason trades everything that they have, every asset, to go get Caleb Williams. Every single asset to go get Caleb Williams.
I just don't see it with Desmond Ridder. I'm not saying Taylor Heineke is the answer. That's not what I'm saying. I
don't want to see more Taylor Heineke.
Saying he gets benched at some point.
Okay. Fair.
It's fair.
They're not going to ask him for much. That's the thing. They're not going to ask him for much. And then I think he's capable. Like, watching him at Cincinnati, I think he's a solid quarterback.
So what's your realistic expectations for the Falcons this season?
I
think win their division.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for them to win the division, you're going to need to ask him to do more than you think.
I think he just has to be serviceable. I think the run game is going to carry them. Like, they had arguably the best rushing attack in the NFL last year. I could pull up all the stats.
I know how good
in the regular season. I don't think you're really you don't necessarily need the guy to be great. I think come playoff time, when a team has a chance to game plan for him, like overly go into detail on how to game plan for said team, then you need Desmond Ridder to start throwing the football. I don't think in the regular season that necessarily is the truth. I think you can win games off the run game. We've mostly seen it. Like, granted, Ryan Tannehill is most likely better than Desmond Ridder, but we've seen it with the Titans. Derrick Henry has won games, a lot of games in the regular season by himself, pretty much.
I mean, Ridder's last 4 starts, you had him facing the Saints, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Cardinals. Those are 3 really great defenses, and he played well. He didn't throw an interception in 100 pass attempts. The first game I kind of chalk off because his inaccuracies everywhere. It was his first start. I give him the benefit of the doubt. His last 3 games completed 67% of his passes, 94 passer rating.
Yep.
Went 2-1. You know, I think Desmond Ridder will be fine. I don't think he'll get benched, but the Trey Lance thing is interesting because out of college, I didn't have like the same Trey Lance comps as everybody when it came to Josh Allen and stuff. Trey Lance to me reminded me a lot of Ryan Tannehill, and people kind of write that take off because Ryan Tannehill isn't this sexy name. But Ryan Tannehill out of college converted from a wide receiver, was wildly athletic, has a plus arm. You know, the traits are there. He's 6'4". I kind of compare Trey Lance a lot to Ryan Tannehill, and the play style in North Dakota State was very under center, play action, boots, and taking shots down the field. And that's a lot of what Ryan Tannehill did with Tennessee. So I think Trey Lance with Arthur Smith could maybe have a revival, but Desmond Ridder has to be really bad. And I don't think he'll be worse than Mariota.
I agree.
Yeah, and like you said, Joel, I think the most important Desmond Ridder stat, the most important takeaway from last year is he threw 0 interceptions. With this team and what they're trying to do, obviously, to win games in the NFL, like if you're a quarterback, you're going to have to make a play here and there. I don't disagree with that fact. Like you're going to have to make the play. But with this team, the most important thing is take care of the ball. And he showed that he could take care of the ball. I think he's the only quarterback in NFL history through their first 100 pass attempts to not throw an interception.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
And
That's,
Zero
that is an impressive
crazy
stat.
It's
It really
nuts that
is.
Desmond Ridder holds that.
Like it's nothing sexy. It's not a rollout, throw, bomb, 70 yards like Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes. But to be able to protect the football like that is definitely an impressive stat, especially with this team. And then you look at the weapons, and you could say they're lacking some depth with those weapons, but I think Drake London and Kyle Pitts, just with what this team wants to do, they're the perfect weapons to have in the receiving game. Because those are two guys who, no matter who you put on them, where they are on the field, they're going to have a mismatch, which is going to make Desmond Ridder's life so much easier. I mean, Drake London, second half of the season, he was a target machine.
Yeah.
And interceptions can sometimes be a misleading number and stat because there are some players that throw a lot, but most of them aren't their fault. And there are some that throw few, but a lot should have been picked off.
Yep.
With Ridder, he had 0 turnover worthy plays the last 3 games of the season. So against like great elite level defenses, he was taking care of the ball. And I think Ridder has some juice, man. He has toughness. He has moxie. I'm a fan of Desmond Ridder. And if the Falcons can just be in games, I think they'll win them. Last year, they either won or lost a game by one score 15 of their 17 games. No other team outside the Chiefs and Bills were in more games than the Falcons. So if they can just get a boost in quarterback play, and we're talking about going from Mariota to Ridder, which I think is enough of a boost. I think this team is a playoff team, and Arthur Smith isn't so quick to bench players. Like Marcus Mariota was bad.
Yeah.
Was horrific for multiple weeks on end in Arthur Smith until the wheels were off the car. He finally benched Mariota, but they were going downhill for a while.
Yeah. And plus Ridder has a plus arm and has wheels. Like he's very capable. He's mobile. He has an arm. Like I think there's a lot of potential there. Honestly.
Yeah.
You think he's better than Sam Howell?
No. Let's not get carried away. Come on.
You know what? Yes.
He's not
yes,
better than
he
Sam
fucking
Howell.
is.
Desmond Ridder, I think, is going to have a better season than Sam Howell. I do.
Agreed.
I think
Tell this man.
I think
I'm
the
done.
team
I'm
will
done.
win more games. The Falcons will win more games than the Commanders, but I don't think Sam Howell was electric. There's a reason why he was projected to be the number 1 overall pick before his junior year.
And then he was a 5th round pick.
Sam Howell, to me, listen, I was in love with his North Carolina tape. I was really in love with it. And there was a time where I thought very highly of Sam Howell. But at this point in time, man, I don't see it with him that much. I don't see it.
So I'm going to just go into my next hot take. I wasn't going to do this one next, but you kind of transitioned me into it. Something, again, I've said it on the podcast already. Sam Howell will have more passing touchdowns than Daniel Jones this season.
So he'll be the 3rd best quarterback in the NFC East.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my guy, Sam Howell.
Wait. You think he'd be the best quarterback?
3rd best.
Oh, 3rd best. Oh, my God.
I really don't hate it at all.
I really do believe in the guy. And like I said, there's a reason why he was such a highly touted prospect going into his junior year. He was the favorite to win the Heisman going into his junior year. I mean, I was looking at it yesterday. Every mock draft, like all the way too early mock drafts going into that 2021 college football season, he was the number 1 or number 2 projected pick. He fell to the 5th round. But then going into the draft, the 2022 draft, he was still projected to be the 2nd or 3rd quarterback taken off the board. A lot of mock drafts even still had him as a 1st round talent, and that guy fell to the 5th round. whether he's good or not, that's still yet to be seen. But simply the fact that he was a 5th-round pick is a federal crime.
Yes,
he should have never fell that low. And my biggest thing with Sam Howell is, the stats kind of fell off a little bit in his junior year at North Carolina. But you got to understand what happened there. Like, coming from a UNC fan, in 2020, they'd arguably not like one of the best backfields in college football history that we've ever seen. And that's not even a stretch, having Javonte Williams and Michael Carter there. They were electric. Then those guys leave. Diami Brown leaves, gets drafted. They're lacking in weapons. And this man rushes for 800 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. So in his 2020 season, according to PFF, he was the 6th graded passer in college football. Then the following season, no weapons. The team has no juice. He's the #1 graded rushing quarterback in the entire country, according to PFF.
It's pretty impressive.
So this guy proved he could.
He's
when,
good.
When
he put the team on his back.
That's the biggest thing. People have concerns that he can only
team
do.
On my back.
No, but seriously, people have concerns because he was so good in 2020. He can only do it when he has a great roster. But if you were really watching that 2021 season, I'm pretty sure they went 6-6. The 6 games they won, he was the sole reason they won those games. This man literally was Greg Jennings putting the team on their back. So I believe in him. He has a cannon for an arm. He could do it on the ground.
Sam is a man. Chris has a man crush on Sam Howell.
Listen, I'm glad that you're getting to see it right now, because 5th-round pick starting in year 2 is very rare. I had to wait 3 years for Jordan Love to get his opportunity. So I'm glad that you're getting it right now. You're going to see very early if Sam Howell's good or not.
And honestly, I don't think Ron Rivera will hesitate to pull him. That's the thing. That's my biggest thing too. Like, I think it's this big of a margin of error. That's the issue, because he would be so quick to pull him for Jacoby Brissett, I think, in my personal opinion. Like, and that's part of where I'm like, I like Sam Howell. I do. Like, I loved him in North Carolina, all that. But I just think if you have a bad first 2 games, which is realistic, then you're done. You're going to get pulled, and Jacoby Brissett's not your quarterback. Because let's not forget, Jacoby Brissett was good last season. Like, he actually was pretty damn solid.
And the Commanders are in a spot where they could be competitive, so I don't think Ron Rivera is going to waste much time to make any decision this season. He's not going to give him much of a leash. So I hope Sam Howell comes out guns blazing, playing real well.
Oh, he will.
Okay.
Eric Bieniemy, the OC there too. So
who's their first 2 games on the schedule? The Commanders.
That's
checker now.
Yeah, I kind of want to know this, because this is huge.
Huge.
What's your hot take, Matt?
You wanna?
The Commanders have the Cardinals and the Broncos.
Oh, well, never mind. They're good.
They'll be fine.
It's easy work.
Well, the Broncos maybe not, but
also, Matt, you're coming to Monday Night Football, Jets Bills. You're coming, right?
Oh, you guys are going?
Yes, Chris
We
and I
decided
decided
today we're going.
Hell of a, okay.
You're coming?
Potentially. We'll see what happens.
You're coming.
So out of all you guys, 2 of you are Jets fans. That's Chris and
I'm
Esteem.
the only Jet
Chris
fan.
is
I'm
not a Jet fan. Chris is an everybody fan.
Chris is a bandwagon.
Yeah. I never picked a football team when I was a kid, so I just like the teams that my favorite players play on.
Okay. Are you a Giants fan, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, I could just tell, man.
he gives off that asshole douche energy.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
No, you look like you would celebrate over 3 Super Bowls in the last however many years.
I don't, though.
You're hanging over my head.
Because Danny's gonna win another one.
Danny sucks. Danny sucks.
Danny's gonna win another one.
Of them,
it's so fun because the Yankees are ass. I don't even want to talk about them.
No,
you can't even do it because the Mets suck too.
I've never seen any of my teams win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's so sorry. That's so sad.
It is sad.
That is so sad.
It's gonna happen this year. That brings me into my next hot take. Aaron Rodgers wins MVP this year. Throws for 4,000 yards. I don't care about your hot take. He reunites with Nathaniel Hackett. Last 2 years, he was in a Nathaniel Hackett system. He won MVP back-to-back years. He does it again this year. Puts the Jets on his back. He has Garrett Wilson. He now has Dalvin Cook. Take some pressure off some Breece Hall.
I liked that move a lot.
I don't love Allen Lazard. Everybody talks him up. Whatever. I think Allen Lazard's whatever.
He's so mid.
I think Corey Davis comes back and has a really good season. I like the tight end room. I like Uzama. I like Conklin. I even like Jeremy Ruckert. I think the team's pretty good. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a great season this year.
So the most valuable player.
Most valuable.
MVP.
Whenever
what?
I see Jets weapons graphics, they always leave off Corey Davis when he's our second best receiver.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
like
bro.
Lazard a lot, but Lazard is a great run blocker. In
Yes.
terms of getting open and down the field, he doesn't have the juice Corey Davis has.
Right. Literally every graphic has Lazard and not Corey Davis, and it does not make sense to me at all. It's like, have you watched Corey Davis? Okay, he had some problems. He had some drop problems the last couple of seasons. The Jets also
Injury
weren't good. It was
problems.
Zach Wilson was his quarterback.
I was at the game when they played the Titans and Zach Wilson threw that bomb to Corey Davis.
You were at that game.
Yeah, that shit was lit.
Fire.
Bro. I thought when you guys signed Corey Davis that he was about to break out. I really did. I
mean,
was so high
That
on
could still
Corey
happen
Davis.
this year, bro.
I was so high on Corey
Also,
Davis.
McCole Hardman, I think he's being slept on too. I think that's a dynamic
good
for the
utility
offense.
Yes, he's a great
But he
utility
brings
player.
speed
Yeah,
to an
sure.
offense that lacks speed.
I wouldn't say he's a good receiver, but he's a good utility guy to have. Like in certain situations, you definitely can use Mecole Hardman to your advantage and stuff. Like
I like it.
so.
I like the offense.
No, I mean, we've seen Aaron Rodgers, like you said, he just won back-to-back MVPs 3 years ago. We've seen Aaron Rodgers with pretty much almost an identical situation as to what he had in Green Bay. Change a few things, but like the talent level and stuff, pretty identical situations. We've seen him win the MVP, so I don't think that's out of the range of outcomes whatsoever.
Garrett Wilson ain't Devontae yet. Let's
and as Joel
pump
says,
the brakes.
we might even get Devontae anyway, so it won't even matter. You won't even need a
the
pick.
Jets get Devontae Adams. That's the best weapons room Aaron Rodgers has ever
Oh my
played with.
god,
clip.
it's
Yeah.
the greatest. It's one of the greatest wide receiver duos.
Literally just mail the
possibly ever.
Lombardi to 1 Jets drive, and that's it.
Oh,
Call it
okay.
a day.
Okay, because that still solves your offensive line problems.
If you have Devontae Adams, honestly, I don't even care who's blocking for
That
me.
is
It could be
not how it
us
works.
three. It could be us three, and we'll still win the Super Bowl.
I don't think that's possible. No,
We
No.
just really gotta hope that Mekhi Becton is good. If Mekhi Becton is healthy and he's good, we're fine. But if not, we really have to trade for David Bakhtiari.
I agree.
it's a lot of faith in a guy who's played 15 games over 4 seasons or so.
But Aaron Rodgers had lunch with him recently.
He's changing his eating habits. It's all
They had
over.
a little chat. They talked about just goals and stuff.
Yeah, just keep yourself healthy, man. Just come on, you could do it. All right, you talked MVP. I have a different hot take. I tried to stay away from awards, but this one was too spicy not to. Justin Herbert wins the MVP and takes the Chargers to the AFC Championship game. Do they win? I don't necessarily know.
Put the icing on the cake. Who do they verse?
In the AFC Championship?
I'm saving that for
Yeah,
next
save
week.
that.
I'm
Yeah?
saving that for next week.
All right.
Bro, I don't
All right.
see it, bro.
I've given
I
you
don't-
half of
You
my
don't see it?
my championship.
I don't see Justin Herbert winning the MVP. I really
There's just unlimited
There absolutely
weapons on
is.
that team. Unlimited.
You don't see a world where Herbert probably throws the prettiest football in the entire NFL. Not only that,
he does
has
throw a
rushing
good
ability.
football.
He's handsome. We
Has
we
rushing
can-
ability is a little bit
That's
of a
the-
stretch.
he's
too.
no, he
handsome,
does
okay.
have rushing ability though.
Yeah.
He does. He absolutely does have mobility. It's not like the guy. He is a pocket passer, yes, but he also has mobility.
Okay.
As I said, you now add weapons, right? You add a guy in Quentin Johnston who is perfect for him to run a go route. That's all I'm asking for you. And then Justin Herbert, who throws arguably the prettiest deep ball in the entire NFL. Quentin Johnston, a 6'3", 6'4" receiver. Keenan Allen, one of the best slot receivers, if not the best slot receiver in the entire NFL, still to this day, being heavily slept on coming into the season. Granted, I get it, injuries, but last season was the only time that he got injured in the last 3 or 4 years. And when he's on the field, he's still elite. And Camp, still elite.
Guaranteed 10 targets a game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It takes some pressure off Austin Eckler to not have to get 120, 130 targets in a goddamn season from a running back. So I'm thinking we open up the offense. An underrated aspect of all this is Kellen Moore.
That's
Moore
what turns me
is
away.
really?
That's what I know.
Oh, wow.
Lombardi
I
was
just
fucking
don't get it.
terrible
I
too.
just don't get it.
Me personally, I just wasn't a fan of Moore's play calling with Dallas. I thought it was pretty bad.
But
honestly,
Dak
with Dallas.
Prescott had his highest passing total seasons with Kellen Moore and had his best seasons of his career with Kellen Moore. Now you give Kellen Moore a guy like Justin Herbert, who, sorry, Dak Prescott, but he's like 5 times more talented than you.
He is definitely maybe 4 times.
Okay.
About 5 times.
All right, cool. Sorry. 4 times more talented than you. And now we're talking about a potential guy who could throw 40 touchdowns plus, if not close to 50. Like, I honestly think Herbert can get up to 50 or close to 50 this season. And I think that's going to give you the MVP. Do I necessarily think
if he throws for 50 touchdowns,
close to 50 touchdowns, you're winning the MVP. So I think it's absolutely in the realm of possibility. Can injuries happen? Yes, but I think they also have possibly one of the best 4th wide receivers in the entire league in Josh Palmer right now. So I think there's weapons all over the place. The offensive line, if it stays healthy, is a top 10 unit in the NFL. And then obviously your defense is very good also if it stays healthy. But I'm going to operate in a world where injuries are turned off right now and Justin Herbert throws for close to 50 touchdown passes and wins MVP.
I don't think that's crazy. I just, I was actually thinking of having a similar take, but I just can't trust anything Chargers related.
Yeah.
Things always go wrong for the Chargers.
I know.
No matter how talented the roster is, no matter how much you believe in the coach, even though it is Brandon Staley, the weapon is a quarterback. I mean, I was doing some research, and there have been very few teams that have been able to transition from franchise quarterback to franchise quarterback to franchise quarterback and have no success to show for it. I mean, the Chargers went from Drew Brees to Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert and have no success to show for it. Yeah. Other teams that have transitioned, like the Packers, Favre to Rodgers, they've won a Super Bowl. You look at the Patriots, Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady, they've won. You look at even a team like the Eagles, McNabb had a Super Bowl appearance. Carson Wentz led the Eagles in the regular season, but Nick Foles finished the job. Jalen Hurts just got to one. So with the Chargers, they have the quarterback. They just, for some reason, have bad luck. I like Kellen Moore. I do. And Dak has had his best passing seasons, but I think the issue is going to run with the Chargers is that they don't have the running game that Dallas has had over the last couple of years. They're going to be one of the worst rushing football teams. I'm not a big fan of Eckler running in between the tackles. I think he's more of a receiving back, and you can have him go outside because he's agile as well. Quentin Johnson has a profile to be great, but the drop problems are real. Yep. And I think that there's going to be instances where Herbert throws a dot to Quentin, and it's a concentration drop, and he doesn't catch it. Keenan Allen is good, but he can win in a certain way. Mike Williams is good as well. The offensive line is really heavily relying on Rashawn Slater staying healthy because Corey Linsley is good. Zion Johnson and Ricky last year is good as well, but the other guard spot is weak, and the other tackle spot is very weak. So a lot of the offensive line relies on 2 guys, really, because they don't have much depth outside of that. I think Kellen Moore will be fine for the Chargers, but like when I think about quarterbacks having an MVP season, I'm thinking of quarterbacks that can truly be top 3 in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and passer rating. And to me, those 3 guys that stick out to me the most are Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and then you can throw in I'm forgetting one. You can throw in Jalen Hurts in there too. I think those have better quarterback seasons, and Lamar is another one who I wouldn't be surprised if he has an MVP like season either.
Agreed. I definitely agree. I just think, with all the bad luck, I feel like there's eventually some good luck there. It's just got to happen. Like at some point, it has to turn around, right? Unless like some franchises are just cursed, like unless it's just the fact, and the Chargers are just cursed. But man, it's got to turn around at some point. And I think like Herbert is just this talent that's willing, like able to overcome all of this. If there is a guy, like I think he's capable of doing all that. So I don't know. And you also missed a quarterback to quarterback with success duo, by the way. You missed Eli Manning to Daniel Jones because
I didn't miss one.
We're gonna say that
you missed one. So
Eli Manning.
It's common oversight. It's okay. Like I totally understand, but you missed Eli to Danny, so it's just mention it next time.
Actually, okay. Funny story about Eli Manning. I talked to a guy at work last night who said he used to come into a restaurant that he used to work at. And when Eli would come out with his wife, that man didn't like to order his own food. He had his wife order all the time. He was like, "Yeah, Eli's one of the most awkward dudes at a restaurant I ever met."
It's so funny because like everyone knows he's awkward. Like he is socially awkward, but like he's also just hilarious. Like he's hilarious, man. Like I love Eli. He's my.
I'm
he's
so
my
excited
heart,
for
man.
football and the Manning cast.
Yes, the Manning cast is gonna be sick, bro. I can't wait.
Oh,
I
just need
cannot
it
wait.
injected into my veins.
All right, I might as well just go to my my third hot take real quick, and
Rattle it off.
I'm going with Kirk Cousins leading the league in passing yards. Surprisingly enough, I think Kirk does it. I love Kirk Cousins. The defense is so atrocious that everything's going to be a shootout. He has so many weapons on this team. You got Hawkinson, you got Addison, you got KJ Osborne, and then, of course, arguably the best receiver in the entire NFL in Justin Jefferson. I think losing Dalvin Cook also changes the run game quite a bit. I like Alexander Mattison. I'm very high on him. I think he'll have a very good season. But I think Kirk's going to pass for well over 5,000. I think he gets right around 5,200 because he was at 49 last season, and I could expect the volume to go up even a little bit more. So, yeah, I think Kirk Cousins leads the league in passing yards.
I mean, I don't see why not.
I see why not.
Why
This is
you
my
see-
next
why
hot
you
take. My next
Okay.
hot take is Tua Tagovailoa leads the league in passing yards for kind of similar reasons you said. Tua was on a great pace last year before all the injury stuff happened, but you want to talk about weapons. Tua has weapons, and the defense might struggle a little bit without Jalen Ramsey there for the first
Not as
half.
bad as the Vikings,
Not
bro.
as bad as the Vikings too, but the defense might put the offense in a situation where they have to throw more there in Miami. And I just believe in Tua. I just believe in what I saw when he was healthy last year. Obviously, the injuries are a concern, but I don't like to predict injuries on anyone, so I'm going to assume he stays healthy for the full season. And, I think Tyreek Hill is that good of a player. Obviously, Jettas is the clear number one receiver in the NFL right now, but I think Tyreek Hill has just as good of a case as anyone in the NFL to be the second best wide receiver in the NFL. And then you look at Jalen Waddle, he's the clear best second receiver on any team right now.
There's
He's
also
that
been a
good.
ton of hype around him.
Jalen Waddle is that good. These guys are not just great receivers, but they're great receivers for accumulating passing yards. They can make shit happen after the catch, and they're elite deep threats. So I'm going to ride with my guy, Tua, leading the league in passing yards.
You just lost Teron Armstead.
They're saying he should be good for week one.
Wait, really?
It wasn't that serious.
They said he didn't have to get surgery.
Oh my
So there's a
god!
new-
It sounded so bad at the press conference because they were like, "Yo, we trust our depth."
There's a new NFL protocol that when guys have like lower leg or lower body injuries that they have to be carted off the field. So everything that happens seems to be more dramatic than it is.
Yeah, the Treylon Burks injury scared me too, but then he ended up being
because everything says
mostly fine.
carted off. When you think carted off, you think
the worst case scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but in terms of Teron Armstead, they said he should be good for week one, barring any setbacks, no surgeries needed. But it's Teron Armstead. He's never played a full season in his career. So.
Yeah. I love that Vikings O-line personally. I think Christian Darrisaw, especially one of the best left tackles in the entire NFL. So a guy that doesn't get mentioned enough. Darrisaw. There was a rep. I think it was in camp
versus Arden Key.
Oh my God! I've never seen someone get shut down on a spin move that aggressively. That was insane.
And it looked so effortless.
It did.
Yeah.
It really did. He's so smooth. He's so good. He's going to be a top 5 tackle in the entire NFL this year. So.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the Vikings traded back to get him with the Jets.
Yep.
The Jets got AVT and then they got Darrisaw. That was a great pick, man. Darrisaw is so good. Yeah. I believe in what I saw with Tua when he faced good defenses, great defenses. That's what I believe in. I believe in that. I think Tua, the truth about him is somewhere in the middle where, a lot of his fans think he's, this top 5 quarterback. He's one of the elites. And, there are people outside that don't think he's really a good starter. I think he's a starter. I think he's Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's in that tier. And they face a tough schedule of defenses. But to me, I believe in what the film tells me. So my next hot take is believing in that film and thinking it's more than meets the eye. Russell Wilson is getting benched this year. I don't know when. I don't know where. But he's going to get benched. It's going to happen. Sean Payton already feels like a head coach that is looking for an out when it comes to the Broncos. He's looking for a way to save himself if the Broncos don't meet expectations, because Sean Payton is tasked with getting his Broncos team to the playoffs. He's tasked with saving Russell Wilson's career. And I think, if things aren't going well, if the season is going off the rails, he's going to make a decision. And Jarrett Stidham last year, he played well against the top defense. Jarrett Stidham has some stuff to him to where I think Sean Payton could look at him and say, you know what, we might be able to run our offense a little bit better with Stidham. And I think Russell Wilson's getting benched.
Wow. That honestly, no, that is the hottest take so far. By far. Yeah. Wow. Oh my God.
I just think it was so bad for us last year that it can't possibly get any worse. And they gave up so much to get him. I just can't see them saying, you know what, we're giving up on you already. Like, not already. I mean, he was terrible last year, but I just can't see them giving up on him. They just gave up so much to get him.
I don't think Drew's going to love that take.
I tell him it all the time, man.
Jeez, Mom. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just don't personally see him getting benched. I think they're all in with him. I think they're ready to, especially with all the offensive line moves that they made. Granted, he was under a lot of pressure in that first preseason game. But I don't know. I think he got this job to fix Russell Wilson somehow, some way. That is why he's there. And I think they figure it out. I mean, I get it. I see why he was that bad last year. And if he's that bad again, he's not playing. He's not playing the full season. You will not catch that happening again. But they just invested so much in him that I think you have to just, in a weird way, ride it out. Ride Russell Wilson out and go from there. So, but yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah, that was me. I'm getting spammed.
Put it on silent.
I'm trying here, buddy. I have them on emergency bypass.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just tell her to get the door. Is she home?
They're not home.
I told them to leave it at the door.
It's okay. Just leave it there. I'll go get it when I get home.
Okay.
But yeah, so I like that. That's a good take.
What do you got, Dean?
Intriguing.
What y'all order? Some food?
No.
I got Matt a couple trays of food. Me and some friends.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jesus Christ. I'm stepping out.
All right, cool. So next, I have Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy and the Raiders sneak into the playoffs.
Sneak into the playoffs is nuts.
Sneak into the playoffs.
Wow.
Obviously they have Devontae there. I think health has always been the obvious big concern with Jimmy Garoppolo. We know he's at least at the bare minimum a solid quarterback in the NFL. And I think that in a new system, in a new scenario, getting paid what he's getting paid, I think he has a chance to be at least better than average, better than good. So with Devontae, I think he could take him over the top. Obviously, there's questions about the defense. It's not good. We know that. But I think the offense is good enough to let them sneak into a wild card spot.
I just can't see it. I think the defense sucks. No, a lot of the Raiders' potential success or lack thereof success, I think, is heavily relying on can Chandler Jones somewhat come back to form before what we saw last year in Vegas, because Chandler Jones is a guy who has led the league in sacks before previously there in Arizona. And then he goes to Vegas and he was pretty freaking terrible. And Max Crosby, one of the best edge rushers we have in the league, but he can't do it by himself. He needs some help. And especially considering the rest of that defense there in Vegas, they need their pass rush to, be borderline elite for them to have any type of success. I like the Tyree Wilson pick. I was very high on him going into the draft. I think that archetype of player in the NFL, those guys who could move all over the D-line, I think those guys are super valuable. But like I said, I think a lot of the success of the Raiders as a team goes directly hand in hand with Chandler Jones's performance. I think the offense is okay. I mean, any offense that has Devontae Adams, I think, is going to be somewhat serviceable. Devontae Adams is that good. The O-line is wishy-washy.
Also, you need Josh Jacobs to come back. Sorry.
Yes.
Just that very obvious, clear point that Josh Jacobs needs to play for that to happen. Obviously, completely.
Did you see the Raiders GM was talking to fans? He was signing autographs and stuff, and he said, "Oh, it'll get done. It'll get done." He's like, "Hey, it's gonna get done." So no, No, I don't think so. I think he will report, because I think they've kind of realized that the whole sitting out thing doesn't work.
It's not going to work. You're just going to end up ending your own career.
Yes.
Is what basically
Pretty
what it
much.
Because if you're a running back and you end up sitting out a whole season, you're just killing any chance you're ever, first of all, going to get any opportunity. Second of all, your body's not going to be able to recover like
exactly.
that. If missing a year of football, we saw it firsthand with Le'Veon Bell.
God.
He was on top of the world.
Shout out the Jets, man.
Top of the world. The Jets caved in and gave him a crazy contract. Although most Jet fans were happy. Most Jet fans were like, finally, we got a big name. But it was It was a running back. I don't think most people understood football at the time. I don't know what the problem was.
He kind of made people start to realize.
His longest run as a Jet was like 20 yards.
I don't even know if it was 20.
It might have been 18 or something.
It might have been like 18
It might have been 18 years. So, I mean, after that happened, I think NFL teams started to realize, okay, we could just not pay these running. Like, it's really a new era of football where you just redraft a running back every 4 years.
Pretty much.
No, unless it's Saquon Barkley, who he had trouble getting a second contract. Like,
he didn't get a second contract.
Right, you got a 1 year deal. Exactly. After Zeke, you know what I mean? They're not gonna, guys aren't going to be getting money like that. Todd Gurley, they're just not going to be getting paid like that anymore. So I think Josh Jacobs and guys like Josh Jacobs and their agents are realizing that it's just not going to happen. You should just show up to training camp and get your money. Get whatever you can while you can.
There's surely the anomalies, such as guys like Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. But the difference with, say, Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara are the fact that they're capable of switching positions to wide receiver and being very good at that position as well. Exactly. That's the big difference there. And then Derrick Henry, as we've said multiple times on this podcast already, is just a freak of nature and an entity to himself. Like that, he is the exception to the rule. So, and then Nick Chubb obviously got a second contract, but again, kind of applies the same to Derrick Henry in that he is a freak of nature and an exception to the rule. So, but yeah.
Before we go into the next hot take, we have some live news. The Ravens give a 1 year deal to Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh boy,
to bolster up their pass rush. I think that's a solid move.
I've never been a huge fan of Jadeveon Clowney.
His name has always been bigger than his production, but
even since he was drafted,
as a rotational,
he's
guy,
a great rotational guy,
and a veteran to go alongside Owe and Ajabo. I think it's
I like it. I like the move.
Solid move.
He sets a great edge, always has, and I don't know. The Ravens to the Super Bowl, I guess, because it's Jadeveon Clowney. But all right, I mentioned Nick Chubb before. I might as well stick on that point. I said that Nick Chubb will rush for more than 2,000 yards this season. I think the stars are aligning. He's one of the most efficient rushers in NFL history. He doesn't have much competition in that backfield. One of the best offensive lines in all of football. And I'm expecting early season. Give the ball to Nick Chubb as much as possible and go from there. So I think he rushes for more than 2,000 yards, and I don't think it's going to take 400 carries to do so. So when you're averaging 5.4 or 5.5 yards per carry, it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier to do so. So, yeah, I'm saying Nick Chubb, 2,000 rushing yards this season, first since Derrick Henry like 2 years ago.
And Deshaun Watson is bad, so they'll have to lean into the running game.
Do you think he's going to be bad again this season?
I don't know. I think it's really impossible to tell. He hasn't been having the greatest camp, but it is just camp. Listen, I want to say that he is going to be good just because he was so elite when he was with the Texans. Yeah. But, it's a year off of football. I think even if he comes back into form, it won't be immediately. I think it'll take him maybe like the first couple of weeks to get back into form, and the Browns' schedule to begin is tough. So, who knows where they're going to be when he finally hits that stride.
So let me ask you this. Would you say the Browns or the Steelers are going to have a better record this season?
I think the Browns' upside is intriguing, but from a floor perspective, I think if you're a believer in what the Steelers are with TJ Watt and Kenny Pickett takes a second-year leap, and Matt Canada is now starting to open up the offense, I think I'd trust the Steelers to finish third.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I'm starting to come around on the Steelers, honestly. Very bullish on them now. But who wants to?
All right. Wait, did you go?
I'll give one.
Go.
All right.
This your third or fourth?
My next one's going to be
that was just my fourth.
Yeah, this is going to be my fourth.
My fifth is going to be a fantasy.
Okay.
Cool.
So this is my fourth. The Seattle Seahawks this year will have 3 receivers with 10+ receiving touchdowns. JSN, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett all go over 10+ touchdowns. I don't know how hot that is.
That's crazy.
That's pretty hot, dude.
That's very hot.
That's a whole lot of tutties.
I think those guys are elite. Like, I mean, it's the best receiver room in the NFL, top 3 guys, easily, and I don't think anyone comes close. And then you have a guy in Geno Smith who's coming off a career year. He showed he's not afraid to throw the ball. I think Pete Carroll is a good enough coach that he's going to recognize what he has in these receivers, and he's going to let Geno Smith air that thing out. And I think the thing that makes me pick this hot take in particular is those guys are such different receivers that I don't think they're going to get in the way of each other at all, if that makes sense. I think they're all going to be able to be elite in their own way because they do it in such different ways.
Okay. So the only thing that I'll say about your hot take is I think for the reason you're giving me is the reason I might think that none of them are going to hit 10 receiving touchdowns is because they are also talented and the ball is going to be spread around as much as it is. Honest. I'm just saying, like, okay, one of them maybe, but all 3 of them, I think is nuts. I think I could see DK going for like 15.
I think DK leads the league in touchdowns,
and the other guys go for like 6, 7. You know what I mean? I just don't see all 3.
I think Geno could, he could throw upwards of 40 of them things. I think the Seahawks offense is that good and that prolific.
Geno Smith 40+. Yo, a lot of former Jet quarterbacks are getting love today.
I don't think it's definitely
like
hot.
Smith, I'm sorry. I love Sammy D. Geno, I can't back you like that, homie.
I don't know. It's definitely a hot take. That's why I'm saying it in this episode. But I know Geno Smith obviously had a rough career and he's a one-year wonder, if you could say that. But I really liked what I saw last year from him. I especially liked the ability to throw the ball deep. And again, I think Pete Carroll is a good enough coach that he's going to realize the strength of this team is going to be moving the ball through the air in big chunk plays. Obviously, they have a good running back duo, but the strength of the offense is the receiver room 100%.
I definitely agree. And I don't think it was a one-year wonder. Looking back at Geno Smith's season, like I decided to watch a couple games, and honestly, he threw such a pretty ball. Might have been the tightest spiral in the entire league among all quarterbacks. And I just think Geno I think he's legit, but 40 passing touchdowns is crazy.
I think 40 is very optimistic because Mahomes led the league last year at 41.
Yeah. That would be the ceiling.
Yeah, like Mahomes threw 41 last year, led the league. Burrow was second at 39. And Burrow's had Higgins, Jamar, Tyler Boyd. I think 10+ touchdowns, it's weird because touchdowns can be very volatile. But I think, would it be shocking to me if all 3 of those receivers went for 1,000 yards? Nah, it wouldn't.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I went with the 10+ touchdowns. I thought it was more spicy of a take, but I think their locks all go for 1,000 yards, honestly, those guys.
All 3 of the receivers. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Given my 4th hot take, I'm not sure which one is hotter. I have 2 here staring me in the face, but this last one I'm gonna say this one for last. This one that I was gonna say, I'm gonna say this one instead. The Packers are winning the NFC North. That's the take. That's the take. The Packers last year went 8-9, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't good. He was 26 in QBR. He was disinterested. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is washed in any way, shape, or form. I just think he didn't like playing in Green Bay anymore. Okay. And Matt LaFleur, he is a good play designer. And Aaron Rodgers, even after the Packers would blow out teams, would go out and air out his grievances and say, I hated every single play call. And he said that after a game, I think they won by like 2+ touchdowns. So Aaron Rodgers was sick of Matt LaFleur. It is kind of ironic that now with Hackett, they're going to run more of a West Coast system that Aaron Rodgers ran early in his career with Mike McCarthy. He wants to go back to that type of offense. So with the Packers, they're a slow-paced team. They've had one of the slowest paces in the last couple of years. Jordan Love, I think, will be good. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs. but there's going to be more ups for him. The offensive line is great. I think Christian Watson is going to break out into a really elite receiver. And last year he was on a 1,100-yard pace in the second half of the year in his final 8 games. Romeo Doubs, I think, is a reliable option. And their tight end room is really what is intriguing me. They drafted Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. And last year, the only personnel grouping that worked for the Packers was 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end sets. If their passing offense out of 12 personnel ranked number 1 in the league. So now that they drafted tight ends, they'll be able to lean into that more. The defense, I wasn't a big fan of Joe Barry staying because I thought he did a horrible job, but more continuity in the system, maybe playing more to his strengths and him adjusting can make this defense better in the rankings. And all around, I look at the Packers and I think they're the most talented team outside of skill positions and quarterback in the NFC North. And the NFC North is a crapshoot. And I think the Packers will stay in enough games to ultimately win them. I have them at 10-7, winning the NFC North. And to every sports book I've checked, they're plus 350, they're plus 400 with the Bears. I mean, if you're telling me that these Vegas odd makers are saying, oh yeah, we're projecting the Packers to be just as good as the Bears, that's an issue. I think they're getting severely slept on and underrated right now.
I agree, but I don't think that they win the division. I have a love affair with the Lions. I'm just saying. I absolutely love the Lions.
You made a whole video about them.
I did a while ago. Yeah. I thought that I said that the Lions for the longest should draft Bryce Young, trade everything they could to draft Bryce Young, and I thought that would have been perfect for them for the long term. They obviously didn't, but Jared Goff had a hell of a season last year. So I think that team is almost complete all around. I think the defense is a lot better than people are looking to give it credit for right now. They drafted Brian Branch. They added a few corners. Obviously, they lost Jeff Okudah, but Cameron Sutton was a very under-the-radar move that I thought was great for them. They have a good linebacker core, underrated as well. And then Aiden Hutchinson. I think that he is going to have an incredible breakout this year. I think he's one of the best overall edge rushers in the entire NFL, and I think he's going to prove that this season. But I get what you're saying. Overall, as a roster, the Packers might have the best roster in the entire division. It's just Jordan Love is such an unknown that it's like, what am I getting from him? Like, if he's good, they can win 12 games. But if he's what everybody thinks he might be, and the worst version of that, this could get ugly. So I don't know. It's a very intriguing division. Vikings too, still there, just because their offense is that explosive.
I disagree just because of the division. I don't doubt Jordan Love being a good quarterback. I just also haven't seen enough of, obviously no one's seen enough of Jordan Love to make a sure decision on whether or not he's going to be good in the NFL. You would hope after 3 years of sitting behind Aaron Rodgers that he would have, improved his game or learned something or. But again, you have the Lions who are, their offense looks to be explosive.
Incredible, yeah.
Absolutely explosive. Even their defense is pretty damn good. Aiden Hutchinson is looking like he's going to be a star. You also have the Vikings, who, as fluky as you might want to call them last year, they were pretty fluky.
They are.
They were still a good football team.
No, they weren't.
They were a good.
I'm sorry, bro. You can't be 13-4 and have a negative point differential and have me call you a good football team. I don't like no. And then lose to us in the playoffs.
Dog.
Lose to us in the playoffs.
The Vikings were a good football team last year.
I love
They lost to y'all by 1 score.
Yeah, but okay, Joel, I hate to say it. We were not a good football team last year.
You don't think you were a good? I think you guys were a good football team.
I think a lot of it is handed to coaching. I think personnel-wise, we were not all that good of a football team. The offensive line was poor. The wide receiver core was atrocious. And then Isaiah Hodgins comes through, and we had some glimmer of hope. There were almost no weapons. And then defensively, we had a pretty damn solid defense, but we had no linebackers pretty much. And then the secondary was iffy outside of Adoree Jackson. So, aside from obviously the safety, Xavier McKinney and Julian Love, but I think we improved a ton, a whole lot, which is why I'm so confident in this team this year. But I I think the Vikings were just fluky last year, man. And they were a solid football team, but that had no business being 13-4. So that's how I look at it. And I think we'll see that this year. I think they regress to like 9-8. So
okay.
But I think that's going to be an interesting division. And it's crazy. I did not know that the odds were like that. You just informed me on that because I had no idea that they were down there with the Bears, because that's crazy to me. The Packers to be as low as the Bears in terms of odds is crazy to me.
Yeah, both teams I think are projected at it's 6.5 or 7.5. It's one of those, but they're the same. They're the same win total over under. It's the exact same. And I'm fading the Bears this year, big time. I'm fading them. I don't think that their roster doesn't warrant the hype. A lot of it is relying on Justin Fields, who over his first 2 seasons is historically bad in a lot of quarterback metrics like accuracy and sack rates. So I'm not saying a Fields breakout can't happen, because I think what he offers as a rusher alone is going to be elite, but it is putting a lot on one guy when the defense will still be bottom of the barrel, and you're projecting them to win a lot of games. 7 games for that roster is a lot.
Right. And of course you add DJ Moore, but I'm not sold on Chase Claypool. You ended up trading what was basically a first round pick for Chase Claypool, which at the time boggled my mind. Even now boggles my mind. There were definitely other options out there that you could have used that pick on. Other receivers, maybe even used it to draft a receiver. I don't know, whatever the case may be.
At that point, trade for Calvin Ridley.
Didn't have to do that. Yeah, I'm not sure what the thought process was there. But I agree. His rushing ability, Justin Fields, is undeniable. Obviously, that man is a top 5 rusher, quarterback rusher in the league, if not top 3.
No, he's the best.
Top 1. Yeah.
If
he's
not
the
top
best.
1.
He's the best right now.
Obviously he's throwing is the question. He plays quarterback. You need him to make plays. He's not a running back.
Thank you.
He's not a running back. He's a quarterback. So,
man, give me our 5th hot take, man. I'm trying to see how spicy you guys are getting with this last
one. Okay.
I'll give mine off the rip ski.
Go for it.
I have 2.
Chase Young wins the Defensive Player of the Year, and the Commanders are the best statistical defense in the NFL this year. I don't know how spicy it is. I think the Defensive Player of the Year is where the spice level kicks up. There's so many great edge rushers in the NFL. You got Bosa, you got TJ Watt, you got Myles Garrett, you got a guy like Aaron Donald, who, when he's fully healthy, is almost a lock to win the Defensive Player of the Year. But I'm buying all of the Chase Young stock. In his last college season, he had 16.5 sacks in, 12 games, something like that. And I buy this Commanders defense that they're going to make it so much easier for him. This defense was pretty solid last year, and Chase Young only played 2 games. They were one of the higher pressure rated teams in the NFL last year with no Chase Young. There's a reason he was drafted as high as he was. He was arguably, if not arguably, the best player coming into that draft class. So I'm buying the Chase Young stock. I think he's going to be elite. Like I said, they have guys on the D-line that are going to make his life easier. You have a Montez Sweat on the other edge. You have Jonathan Allen in the middle.
Deron Payne.
Right, you have Deron Payne.
It's
also.
loaded.
The D-line is loaded. So, I'm buying the Chase Young stock this year. I think he's going to lead the league in sacks and be the Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm a massive fan of Chase Young as a Giant fan, and I completely agree with you. I think that's entirely possible. It's just health. It boils down to one thing, and it's health. And that's it. If he stays healthy, he was one of the best edge rushing prospects we've ever seen. Coming out of college, he was looked at as the best talent in that draft class and one of the best edge rushing talents ever. So, yeah, if he stays healthy, I still think there's a future where he ends up a New York Giant. That's where I'm at. I still think there's a future where he ends up as a New York Giant.
Well, that's the thing, too. He's playing for a contract.
Yep. Yes, he is.
So he's going to be extra motivated.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Man, you got 2 5-star hot takes?
I don't know if they're both 5-star, but all right. I'll give both, and they both have to do with the NFC East. And, of course, I had to have one homer pick. But real quick before that, Mike McCarthy fired by week 7. And then I think the Dallas Cowboys' entire season turns around from there. I think him giving himself all the play calling duties, I think that was a massive mistake on his part. And I think them firing Kellen Moore is going to prove more important than people are ready to give it credit for. I think the addition of Brandon Cooks was amazing because a lot of people are potentially saying he's washed. I can tell you right now, from everything I watched of Brandon Cooks, he is absolutely not washed. And he still gets open, still creates space. And I think that's completely fair to think that this offense might not take a step back, but in my personal opinion, Mike McCarthy ruins this entire thing, gets fired by week 7, and then the Dallas Cowboys season turns around from there. With that being said, I now move on to my New York Giants. And this is another hot take that I have. I think Darren Waller leads all tight ends in the NFL in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. All 3 statistical categories among tight ends, he will lead the league. That is my final hot take. So, my guy, I can't wait. I can't wait for the season.
I love it.
Yeah, I love Darren. I can't really argue or dispute that. I love Darren Waller. We've seen what he could do when he's healthy, and he's going to an offense where he's by far the best receiving option. Yeah. So it's really just about health for him. And if he's healthy, I don't think that's out of the range of outcomes whatsoever.
Right. I think he's clearly the number 1 option there. I don't think that's nuts, but it's definitely pretty hot. But I do love it.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is still alive. So
okay. So my last hot take. It's a fantasy hot take. I have Calvin Ridley finishing top 5 in fantasy this year. Top 5 receiver. Sorry, not 5 total. Top 5 receiver. So the last time he played, he was averaging 91 yards a game. When Julio was not playing, he was averaging 110 yards a game. Man was going absolutely crazy. I think he's clearly the best receiver on that team. I think he's going to end up emerging over Christian Kirk. I know Christian Kirk had a breakout season last year. He got paid and everything. Calvin Ridley's going to come in and be better. He's a more talented guy. I know we haven't seen him play in a couple of years. He had a suspension and his mental health, whatever was going on there. But the last time he played, the last full season he played, he was wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
He was at the top of his game. He was the guy. And I think he comes in this season not taking anything for granted. I think he comes in and also the Jaguars passed the ball a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I mean
they were in the top 10 in passing attempts.
Trevor's that dude.
And passing attempts, right. And Trevor only gets better. I love the situation for him. I think he walks into honestly the perfect situation.
You don't think it takes a second for them to develop the chemistry?
It might. No, it might take a couple games, but I think after that he goes absolutely nuclear. I think after that, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Before I give my final hot take, I'm gonna name off some honorable mentions. This one has to do with fantasy. I think that Kenneth Gainwell is gonna be the lead fantasy back for Philadelphia.
God damn it.
DeAndre Swift is not very good, man. He's just not. And Rashad Penny can't stay healthy. I really like Gainwell a lot.
Yeah. I saw a report that he might get cut this morning.
Who, Rashad?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think Anthony Richardson has the best rookie quarterback season out of all the rookie quarterbacks. I
agree.
That's my other one. Roshan Johnson with the Bears, man. I'm hoping that there's some way he's going to get his opportunity, but if he does, I think he'll burst onto the scene. And my last honorable mention, I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but Brandon Ayuk is the best wide receiver on the 49ers. And I think Brandon Ayuk is going to play himself into the top 12 receivers after this season. Chris mentioned earlier that he thinks Jalen Waddle is the second best, wide receiver 2 in the league. I'm not sure if people are classifying Debo as the number 1 in San Fran, but if they are, I think Waddle, Ayuk, Devontae Smith, Higgins, they're all in that tier. And for some reason, it feels like Brandon Ayuk kind of gets casted out of that tier, but I think he is in that tier with those guys. And that's my final honorable mention. My 5-star hot take, man. Listen, Matt, when it comes to Mike McCarthy, I'm not sure why you hate him.
I don't like him.
The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. They're making it out the NFC.
NFC.
They are making it out the NFC. And man, it drives me crazy that people think that Kellen Moore was the reason for this offensive success. Mike McCarthy comes from an offensive background. He was an offensive coach. He has been given the credit for developing Aaron Rodgers behind the scenes. Aaron Rodgers last season, when Mike McCarthy got fired after the Packers were 4-7-1, Rodgers completed 62% of his passes, threw 21 touchdowns to 1 interception, had a 99 passer rating. Even in Aaron Rodgers' last season with McCarthy, Rodgers was not bad by any stretch. And the defense ranked 22nd, the offense ranked 14th. For me, Mike McCarthy is kind of underrated as a coach. People think this guy is a scrub. He can't coach. His issue has never been play calling. To me, his issue has always been clock management. Yeah. There have been times with the Packers that bad luck just happens. The point that the first thing I point to is in the NFC Championship game versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks recover an onside kick, and that's why they score. That has nothing to do with Mike McCarthy. That nothing to do with him and what he can do as a coach. I think the Green Bay one year scored 45 points and still lost in overtime to the Cardinals. It was either 42 or 45, one of those, but they scored 40 plus and still lost. So the offense,
game that Larry Fitz scored a touchdown versus
Carson exactly.
Oh, that was nuts.
The issue has never been the Packers offense when McCarthy was there. It's always been the defense. The defense has never been good enough. The year that they had a top defense, they won a Super Bowl. And this Cowboys defense is the best defense in the league. Like, it's going to be number one. You have Micah, you have DeMarcus. They just drafted Mozzie Smith, who's going to be a great defensive tackle for them. I mean, getting Stephon Gilmore to pair up with Trayvon Diggs. Their secondary is great. They have versatile players across the board in their offense. I really do think that the missing piece last year was a receiver like Brandon Cooks. Yeah. You know, CeeDee Lamb is their best receiver, but last year the Cowboys were, I believe, 26 against man coverage when they lined up on offense. And that's because outside of CD, there's nobody else that can separate. But now you bring in Brandon Cooks. And if Michael Gallup is even a half of what he was back in 2020, I believe it was. I mean, we're talking about one of the best receiving corps in the league. It doesn't even matter that they lost Schultz. You know, I'm a big Tony Pollard fan. I always have been. I just think the Cowboys are primed for a big time year. You know, if they can just get over the hump, they just need to beat the 49ers and the Eagles, which is a tough task. I think they can beat San Fran. The Eagles are going to be a really tough task, but really the NFC is between three teams. It's the Niners, Eagles, and Cowboys. And I know people count out the Cowboys every year because Cowboys fans say they're going to make it every year. But this is a year that I'm really balled in on Dallas, and I think they can really make it to Super Bowl. I have a lot of faith in them this year.
I completely agree. Like every single point you said, I left it off my hot takes because I don't even think it's that hot of a take. I think the only reason people would count out the Cowboys is, like you said, they're the Cowboys. That's the only reason. You look at the roster and the players they have, that is a Super Bowl contending team, top to bottom. And like you said, the additions they made this offseason are so important to them. Like you said, adding a guy like Brandon Cooks is literally exactly what the offense needed. Exactly what the offense needed. He's going to be able to win versus man coverage. He's going to be able to make separation. Like you said, make Dak Prescott's life easier, make CeeDee Lamb's life easier, make a Michael Gallup's life easier. We know what Tony Pollard could do. He's one of the, like we've said on previous podcasts, one of the most efficient runners of the football we have in the NFL. He's just going to get an expanded role. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball. Like you said, you have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence who could wreak havoc on the edge. You have a guy like Trayvon Diggs who, he has his flaws, yes, but he's one of the best ball-hawking corners in the NFL. And then you get a guy like Stephon Gilmore for practically free, who any flaw you have about Trayvon Diggs, any concern you have, Stephon Gilmore does those things. He's an elite coverage corner.
They complement each other.
Well. I don't know if I'd say they're the best cornerback duo in the NFL because of the guys in New York, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jets number one. Jets number one.
I agree.
Completely fair, but in terms of the way they complement each other, I don't know if there's a better cornerback duo in the NFL that makes up for each other's flaws. So, yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl this year, 100%.
Now, like Dan Quinn, he's somebody that plays a heavy dose of zone within his defense, and these numbers defensively were worse than I remembered. So Cowboys versus wide receivers in man coverage in the 2022 season. So this is defense. 31st in completion percentage allowed at 69%. They were dead last in touchdowns allowed at 15, and they were dead last in pass rating allowed at 126.8. So whenever the Cowboys went into man coverage on defense, offenses were scorching them. They were really wreaking havoc on them. I know they're a zone heavy team, but adding a cover corner like Stephon Gilmore, who specialty is man-to-man coverage, that is going to boost an aspect of their defense that has been a deficiency for years. So you make that boost to the defense, you get that juice on offense, and I think, the Cowboys, they are legit. Like, I don't know why they're getting written off by people. People believe that Dak is worse than what he is, but Dak is a capable quarterback to winning a Super Bowl. He just has to have the right team and have the right type of run, because there's a lot of luck involved in these things too.
So the only reason that I have issue with Mike McCarthy is the fact that everything he's been saying in the offseason has been, I want to run the ball. I want to get back to old school football and stuff. Like, he's like, I want to rely on my defense, as you should. I think you have arguably the best defense in the NFL. But my thing is, you lost a guy who was getting 250 carries, right? And now you have Tony Pollard, and I take nothing away from Tony Pollard. I think he's incredibly talented, but he just broke his foot, and I don't think he's built to have the bell cow type of role. Now, do I think there are other backs there? Sure. You have Rico Dowdle, you have Malik Davis, and of course, Deuce Vaughn, man. I think he's a real player there. I think people are sleeping on Deuce big time just because he's 5'5". I think he's the next coming of Darren Sproles. But
Deuce Vaughn, stand
anyways,
up. Let's go. Short Kings. Let's get it.
Anyways, I really do think that that's a big problem. The fact that they lost Zeke, and if they want to rely on the run game, you don't really have the players and the personnel for that at this current moment. So I think that might become a bit of an issue. I don't think Tony Pollard is built, like I said, for that 20 to 25 carry range. I thought Zeke was perfect in the role that they required him for. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if it ends up working out. It's called a hot take for a reason. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that aspect of their team. I think if they still had Zeke, I would feel very differently about the Cowboys overall.
I just have a hard time believing that the Cowboys are going to have a losing record to the point that he'll get fired, because last year they were winning with Cooper Rush. Like, this defense is going to be so elite that even if the offense is giving you mediocre output, it's going to be a 500 team. So with me is like, this would have to be one of the worst coaching jobs in history for McCarthy to get fired within the first 8 weeks.
So I'm just looking at their schedule, and I see obviously they open up against the Giants. And I personally, it's a home pick. I personally think they lose that game because all the momentum coming into the season for the New York Giants is all there.
Dak owns you guys.
I don't want to hear that right now. We're winning week 1. I don't care. It's in MetLife. It's Sunday Night Football.
Well, which game are you gonna be at? You're gonna be at the Monday night game, because
who said I'm gonna be at the Monday night game? I'm going to my Giant game. Like, I'm going to be Sunday Night Football. I will be there. I don't care how. I don't care how much money I'm spending. No, I'm not going back to back, bro.
We're going back.
I don't got the funds for that at the moment.
We can make it happen.
But anyways, you start with the Giants, then you have the Jets. It's a possibility that you start the season 0-2 there. And then
it'd also be 2-0 though. They could beat the Jets.
Yeah, I agree. But then you have the Cardinals, you have the Patriots, but then you hit the 49ers, the Chargers, and I don't know. I think there's a real possibility you start the season in the first 6 weeks 2-4. And I don't think Jerry Jones is going to be patient much longer, if I'm being entirely honest. I think he's going to have a quick trigger in this situation because, I mean, look, the guy literally has said on multiple different points, he's going to sell his damn soul at this point for a Super Bowl. So,
but if you're trying to be competitive, right, how productive is it for you to fire your head coach 8 games into the season like that? How does that really fix anything?
See,
other than just proving an unnecessary point?
But that's what you're trying to do.
No, but you're kind of at that point, you're basically almost giving up. It's so hard for an interim head coach to step in and win football games, especially when you have a roster that's as talented as the Dallas Cowboys. You need a head coach. So,
yes, while I agree with you in that regard, if it's someone that's been in the building for quite a few seasons and has head coaching experience, I think it's a lot easier.
So who's that?
Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn becomes the head coach. So I think that's a great move. I don't know how I feel about it, but I do think the Cowboys would go on a run after that. And I think since you're keeping pretty much the same defensive principles because he's now being elevated, your offense doesn't change because, I mean, well, obviously you have a new offense coordinator. Well, it'd be the same guy, but Mike McCarthy obviously calling plays at the moment. That changes things once he gets fired.
But that's also the point, right? You got you're
changing your offensive
play caller,
principles. Yeah,
you're kicking him out. I don't see it happening.
No, and that's fair, and I get that. Again, that's why it's a hot take. So
it's a pretty
that's why it's a hot take. But I don't know. I think it's entirely possible that things work out for them, and I just maybe the guys just aren't fully believing in Mike McCarthy at a certain point. So maybe it lights a fire under your ass when you see one guy get fired, and you go from there. So. But yeah, I don't know. I got that's what I have happening is my biggest spicy take. Mike McCarthy being tossed the fuck out of Dallas. So
those are our hot takes.
That was fun.
Great. I like that. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll just bang out like 1 or 2 TikTok segments real quick, and then we'll call it.
Sick.
Yeah.
You have one?
I have one. You have one.
I have
one.
You want to go first?
We all have one.
Sure. I just want us to okay, I should probably look into the camera and say this one.
Yeah. For the TikTok.
Let's list our top 3 cornerbacks in the NFL.
Nice. Way to be. Hey, yo!
Let's list our top 3 cornerbacks in the NFL right now.
Simple. The number 1 cornerback in the NFL right now is Jalen Ramsey because he has been that for the past 5 years. I'm not ready to pass it over to a rookie just yet. I know the guy is amazing. At number 2, I have Sauce Gardner. He was elite last year. I'm just not ready to give up the crown of best corner in the league from Jalen Ramsey just yet. At number 3, it's Pat Surtain. I think the top 3 guys are pretty set in stone, honestly. Whatever order you want to have them in, that's where things get difficult. But I think those are the top 3 guys.
My top 3 guys are easy. Oh, you got something, Dean?
No. You go first.
My top 3 are easy. Sauce Gardner is number 1. Number 2 is Pat Surtain, and number 3 is Jair Alexander.
Chris hates that. Look at him. He's cringing.
No, like I get it. Jair's elite. He's an elite coverage corner. I don't know. I think what Jalen Ramsey offers to the table, the versatility, it's just I can't see a world where he's not a top 3 corner in the NFL. I know the most important job for a corner is to cover and stop the receiver. And Jair might be the best at that. He might be the best, one-on-one shutdown corner in the entire NFL. I see that. I've been a believer in Jalen Ramsey since before he got drafted. That's my guy for life. And I just think what he offers obviously he is an elite coverage corner, but what he offers outside of coverage in the run game and the ability, right, and the ability to move all over the field, that's where I favor Jalen Ramsey. I know last year was, it was rough for him a little bit, but you got to remember what he was playing with there in Los Angeles. It was rough for all of those guys. So.
Right. I really think long-term, just quick point, Jalen Ramsey's going to move to safety, similar to what Charles Woodson did at the back end of his career. I think that's what's going to happen. And it's coming sooner than we think. Okay, my top 3 corners. I have Sauce Gardner number 1. He has to be. It's crazy that in his rookie season he was that damn good. Pat Surtain is number 2 for me. And sorry, Jalen. Number 3 for me, and I think it's about to be shown even more with defensive talent around him this season. AJ Terrell is my 3rd corner, personally.
I
like that. Okay. So I have I think the top 2 are set. I know you have Ramsey number 1. Whatever. That could be whatever. Okay. I have Sauce at number 1, Pat Surtain at number 2. Both are self-explanatory. We all know Sauce is elite. We all know Pat Surtain's elite. At number 3, it was a debate between Jair and Jalen Ramsey. I ended up going with Jalen Ramsey. I think he's absolutely proven his worth to be up there in the top 3 year after year after year. I know the injury might hinder that a little bit. My bias was kicking in. I was like, damn, I hate Jalen Ramsey. I don't even want to put him top 5, but I think he's a top 3 corner in the NFL still at his old age of 28, 29.
If the injury didn't happen, I think he's 30. I think he's actually just recently hit 30. If the injury didn't happen, I would say Jalen Ramsey. The
injury, yeah.
Easily,
I mean, you don't even know what he looks like after that. Hopefully, it's not too big of a deal. I mean, even as a Jet fan, like I don't want anybody to get hurt. I want him to be playing at full strength.
Agreed.
But I think if he can come back the same way he was before, I think he's a top 3 corner. In the
Yeah,
league.
next season we'll talk about this again, and Deontay Banks and Trey Hawkins will be in the top 3, and we'll be all good.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that. Yep. Yeah.
And then we'll have the best cornerback duo in the NFL.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So while we're on the topic of corner, we're gonna do the draft your, perfect corner. I just want to run it by you guys before I do the intro. So Joel, we've been doing this for every position. It's a draft, but you're drafting one attribute from the player, and we're building our perfect one. So the categories I had for cornerback were speed, body, overall coverage, ball skills, and then I titled this one ball skills is crazy. I titled this one I titled it toughness, so that'll be like overall strength and ability to press, tackling, all that stuff kind of jumbled into one.
Okay.
Does that make enough sense? Is that fair? Good 5 categories?
Nah, that's good.
All right.
Who goes first?
Well, let me do the old TikTok intro. Draft your perfect cornerback using current players only. Who wants the first pick?
Me.
Okay. All right, go for it.
I'm taking Diggs' ball skills. I think he's the best ball hawk in the league. I think I'm taking that number 1.
So, oh my God. Damn. I'm taking the toughness of Jalen Ramsey.
Nice. Joel, you could go 3.
Okay. Listen, I could go Sauce here, but I feel like that's too easy. I'm gonna go speed, and I'm gonna go Jamel Dean. 4.3 at the 40 at the combine. He runs a 4.340. Jamel Dean is one of the fastest corners in the league, and he's also one of the most underrated corners in the league as well. He's definitely a top 15 corner. He's a true number 1 guy, but he doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
So with my first pick, I think you made a mistake there, Joel. I like Dean as a player, but I think you took the wrong guy for speed. I'm going with Tariq Woolen's speed. Run a 4.26. He is fast as hell, boy. So I'm gonna take Tariq Woolen's speed, and then I think you guys all made a mistake. Now with my back-to-back pick, I'm gonna take the coverage ability of Sauce Gardner.
Okay.
Okay, and we're talking current corner, so this can't be old age corners.
No,
right?
Players only.
Okay.
I would love to take Darrell Revis.
Right?
No, it goes to Joel.
Joel didn't go. Got it. Cool.
Okay, so you took Sauce Gardner's coverage. Honestly, I wanted to take his body. He got a body on him. Oh boy. Listen, I'm gonna go with pass Surtain's coverage ability.
Fuck. Damn it. That's what I was gonna do.
Fuck.
All right. I'm gonna take the speed of Dante Jackson.
It's a good pick.
Believe he was in the 4.2s as well, maybe 4.28. But yeah, Dante Jackson can fly. Okay, here you go, Dean. You got back-to-back here.
I'm taking the coverage of. We didn't take Jair yet.
No,
I'm taking coverage of Jair.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my guy, and I'm gonna. Oh wait, you have a back-to-back.
I do have a back-to-back. I'm going to take the toughness of. This is tough.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna take toughness of Stephon Gilmore.
Okay. I'm gonna take the coverage ability of AJ Terrell. Trust in my guy.
All right, back on you, Joel.
I'm taking the toughness of DJ Reed. I don't know if you watch this guy play, but his toughness is off the charts. He's the most energetic player on the field. If I couldn't get Sauce Gardner, I got to get DJ Reed with that Jets pick.
Yeah. Love DJ Reed. Isn't he like 5'8" too?
He's pretty short.
That's so crazy that dude is. Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing. So what? It's toughness, it's coverage, it's speed and size.
And then it's body?
Body. Yeah.
Yeah, speed, body, toughness, coverage, and then ball skills.
Okay.
So
I haven't drafted ball skills yet. I don't think.
Me neither.
Neither have I, and I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna go with the ball skills of Darius Slay.
Oh my goodness.
I think Darius Slay is a guy who,
be my pick.
is always all over the ball. Now my next pick. This is tough here. Bear with me 1 second.
You got this, man.
I do got this. I can fucking do this.
You know, I'm forgetting a lot of corners here. Once I started to like think about some of these guys.
This isn't so easy.
No, it's really not.
No, it's not the easiest thing to do.
It's really not.
I'm gonna take. Oh man.
There's a lot of players to choose from.
There's so many. I'm trying to draft body, so I'm looking at everyone's size right now. I don't want to draft the wrong guy, you know?
I completely get it, man.
Oh man. All right, this might be a dumb question to you guys. Like, if you guys, anyone's here in the live stream right now, you guys could violate me in the comments for asking, but Xavier Rhodes still in the NFL? Is he on a team right now?
No.
No. I don't.
I have no idea. I would say no. I don't think he is on the team right now.
Because I know, didn't he go to Dallas at the end of last year?
I
don't know. We'll
don't even
say he's
recall.
not. Yeah, if no one.
We're not gonna say Xavier Rhodes in the NFL because that man, bro, he was so he used to be so good, and then he just fell off a cliff.
All right. Sorry, I'm taking so long.
Yeah, you're on the clock. You got 10 seconds
You're
now,
on the clock.
buddy.
Clock.
10,
9,
8,
5,
3,
1.
The toughness of Kendall Fuller.
Nice.
What the hell?
I'm glad you said it, homie.
Me and D just looked at each other like, yeah, I guess.
Why? Wait, why?
You guys counted me down. I panicked.
It did take a long time. To be
That
fair.
took way too long. Okay, fine. So go see
Man. Yeah, my next pick. This one is actually very easy, man. I'm gonna go with the ball hawk skills of J.C. Jackson. He had a down year in 2022, but this guy in 2020 and 2021 was second in leaders and interceptions. So I'm going with J.C. Jackson. I think he has a bounce back this year.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna talk about guys that, especially like for me, I've recently been very down on, but in terms of his ball hawking ability, he's always been towards the top of the league in terms of interceptions. Chris knows who I'm going with already. It's Xavier Howard. He had a horrible season last year, but if there's one thing that I know Xavier Howard can do, it is make a big play at a certain time. He has phenomenal ball skills, and that is one thing that I think I would take from Xavier Howard.
Cool. It's me.
Yep.
I go back to back.
Back to back, and then your draft is done.
All right. I'm taking the body of James Bradbury. That's a big man. He's like 225, 6'1". He's pretty bulky.
Yeah.
Well, my last pick, I'm going with the body of J.C. Horn.
Wait, how the hell did that just happen?
I'll let it happen because I wasn't picking J.C. Horn anyway.
We just skipped.
Oh yeah, that was Matt's pick.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. Dean had back to back, and then
back-to-back.
It's me, and then
But
it's
it's
you,
fine.
Joel.
I wasn't picking J.C.
I
Horn
wasn't
anyway.
picking
Okay, good.
So that's your pick. That's
The
cool.
power of editing. I'll take care of it.
And I'm gonna take Devon Witherspoon's speed.
Nice.
Okay. Oh boy.
Do I got to name my pick again?
No, not yet, because I'm going. And I don't even think you really have to. Okay. I'm gonna go with oh boy. Okay, this is tough. I'm gonna take the body of Israel Mukuamu. He's 6'4".
Okay.
He's 6'4". I'm taking that.
Nice.
I don't care if he's thin.
Man, if that's the case,
Yeah, I know
I'm
you know.
taking. If that's the case, I'm taking a body in the Sean Wright, man.
There you go. Yeah.
Bro, I seen all these guys, but I didn't know who they were, so I didn't want to draft them. That's why I was taking so long.
Hell nah. Hell nah.
All right,
Taking Keith Taylor.
I'm gonna finish the draft with the body of Patrick Peterson, 6'1", 220 pounds. He's a thick boy, decently tall.
I don't even know how thick
All right.
this guy Israel is.
Anybody else have to pick?
No, that's the end of the
That's the end of
draft.
the draft. All right.
Let's go over what we got. So I got the speed of Tariq Woolen, the body of Pat Pete, the toughness of Kendall Fuller, the coverage of Sauce Gardner, and the ball skills of Darius Slay.
I cheated. He's listed as a safety.
Who?
Israel Mukuamu.
Whatever.
Full annoyed.
Shit.
Whatever. Null and void.
Yeah. My guy doesn't have a body. He doesn't exist.
All right. So I have the speed of Devon Witherspoon, the body of James Bradbury, the coverage skills of Jair Alexander, ball skills of Trayvon Diggs, and toughness of Stephon Gilmore.
It's a nice play.
I'm changing my pick right now. The body. Just the body. He wasn't drafted. I'm picking Deontay Banks.
Okay.
So, okay.
Body
Do that whole thing. I'm taking the body of Deontay.
I'm taking the body of Deontay Banks.
Yeah, I'll put that in there.
So, all right. My player has the speed of Dante Jackson, the coverage ability of AJ Terrell, the toughness of Jalen Ramsey, the ball skills of Xavier Howard, and the body of Deontay Banks.
So my guy, the speed of Jamel Dean, 4.3 40. I'm going to coverage skills of Pat Surtain, the toughness of DJ Reed, 5'9", and able to be the impact corner he is. You got to have some toughness. The ball hawk skills of JC Jackson, who is now, I know the down season is alarming, but is one of the better ball hawks in the league. And then the body of JC Horn. I'm going to go with JC Horn over Deshaun Wright just because JC on film looks thick. He looks like a big boy.
Yeah. No,
he looks like he's packing.
Yeah, he's definitely packing that.
No,
guy.
I noticed that too, homie.
Deontay
Me
Banks
too.
is, I don't know. I think he's packing the most heat out of this whole group. But
All right. Did you have one for us?
I do.
All right.
So obviously today, this will be the last thing we do. We were talking about hot takes, right? So I figured, why not do a blind ranking of a bunch of these, sports analysts, these sports TV analysts and stuff like that. So blind rank these sports television analysts without knowing who comes next.
All right.
That was pretty solid.
Yeah, this
right?
will get fun.
Cool.
I like this idea.
Okay. So here we go. The first one, Shannon Sharp. We got to start off with a bang.
There's 5 of them.
There is 5 of them.
I like him at 3, right? Or 2.
I agree with 3. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, Stephen A. Smith, he got to be number 1.
Right.
Number 2, I understand Skip Bayless is controversial, and Shannon Sharp, you can favor him over Skip, but I 100% guarantee that when Undisputed comes back, Richard Sherman, people are going to be tuned in. Skip Bayless is box office. So I think Shannon Sharp at 3 is reasonable. I'm going with 3.
You saw
That's
Shannon
fair.
joining First Take with Stephen A. on Mondays and Tuesdays?
I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that would be cool.
I hope that is a thing. but-
I hope it is. I thought I read that. Let me get the right information.
All right. So you guys are putting them at 3?
Yeah,
Yeah.
three's good.
Okay. Next up, Max Kellerman.
I like Max, but Max is like
Max is cool at 4 for me. I know
is
Max
perfect at
is
4.
is the guy for boxing and stuff like
He
that,
is.
but I'm not personally into boxing, and I'm not really the biggest fan of his basketball and football analysis. So I'll put him 1 spot under Shannon.
I'm taking Iguodala.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Fate of the
Max-
universe.
Max feels like a 5 to me. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like a
5?
5. Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh.
I liked him with Stephen A. That was my thing. Him without Stephen A, like I could do without it. But with I guess it's more of a testament to Stephen A, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Skip Bayless.
Well, where are you putting him?
Wait.
Because I said 4 and you all said 5, so you're the determining factor.
He's a tiebreaker.
It is.
I'm going 4 because I feel like there's somebody worse.
Okay.
All right,
Skip Bayless.
2.
He's number 2.
Too easy.
Okay. Nick Wright.
See, this is why I think Nick Wright, he's
kinda
more
put him
entertaining than
there.
Max Kellerman.
I agree. I think he's more entertaining. I think he's a little bit more knowledgeable. I fuck with Nick Wright.
You're
Well, we
putting him
yeah,
at 1 or
yeah,
5.
He got to be 5 now.
Gotta be
Yeah.
5,
There's no
yeah.
way he's 1.
And then, of course, yeah, I had to. Stephen A. Smith.
It's number 1.
Undisputed
He's
number
number
The
one.
GOAT.
Damn.
The GOAT. Yeah. He is the
That's
GOAT.
not the
one.
worst list.
I kind of sold for us.
So your list is at number 5, you have Nick Wright. At number 4, you have Max Kellerman. At number 3, you have Shannon Sharp. 2, Skip Bayless. And then 1, the GOAT and the OG, Stephen A. Smith.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good list.
I could live with it.
That's a solid list.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. You want to?
Oh yeah. Before we end, Huge shout out to our partners over at SeatGeek. If you guys don't know about SeatGeek, get informed. Football starting. You want to use SeatGeek to buy your tickets if you're going to any games. They are the best ticketing app on the market. They grade their deals on a score of 1 to 10, but also they use colors, make it a little bit easier. Red deals, you don't want to buy those. Stay away from the red deals. The green deals, on the other hand, buy the green deals. And also, SeatGeek hooked us up with a code. So if you use the code BallGamePod at checkout of your first purchase, you get $20 off. Again, that is code BallGamePod. Huge shout out to SeatGeek.
Shout out the guys over there, man. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. Before we do end this, Joel, another huge thank you for coming on the show with us. We do appreciate it. Had a great time, by the way. A lot of hot takes were flowing, and thank you for real. Like we really do appreciate it.
It means a lot to us for sure.
Yeah, you guys are a huge inspiration to us, as we said before. So
yeah, anytime, man. I really fuck with what you guys got going on right here. I'm trying to figure out the banner in the back. You know, I know Chris is the one with the beard. I know Matt, you're the one with the glasses right there. The second guy, Dean. Which one are you? I'm trying to figure it out. You can't be the fifth one. You can't be the fourth one.
No. I got the hat on.
Okay.
Yeah,
they gotta fix the logo. They gotta give your hair more love.
Okay, so what we were doing was we were taking pictures before we were leaving, and my hair wasn't right. I threw a hat on. It just, you know, most of the time I am wearing a hat. That's the deal.
you are oftentimes wearing hats. So
Yeah.
and then the other two obviously are not here today.
They're not here today.
Matt, the redhead, and
Yeah,
then
we didn't
Ortiz.
need them anyway. It's fine.
Then Ortiz, the
Yeah.
curly hair over there too. But yeah, so and let these people know where they can find you also, Joel.
Yeah, so you can find me across socials personally at Joel V. Moran. You can follow the podcast, Pick a Side Pod, on Twitter, Pick a Side Podcast on TikTok and Instagram.
They are the goats for real. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, watch all those previous videos. And with that,
Ball game,
That
ball
was
game,
ball
ball
game,
game, ball game,
man.